Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, October 26th, 2023. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Matt Giovanisci of Brew Cabin joins me to sample our Arkansas Porch Steamer beer. It's our salute to Anchor Steam, or California Common, and to formulate a recipe for Kentucky Common, a style that I recently stumbled upon, not literally, in Canada. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing, and many thanks to everybody who is helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Financial supporters have already seen the video episode I'm going to post later this week to the general public. It's the one where Steve and I taste the Arkansas Porch Steamer. That was a beer fermented with Kveik from Imperial, which is a Kveik blend. It sat in a bucket out on my hot porch a few weeks ago. Financial supporters also got the recipe and a behind-the-scenes video showing how the Arkansas Porch Steamer came together. I also sent out a bonus video showing me brewing the Red Honey IPA as well. I didn't get a chance to post that video before I left on vacation. Let's start with some bad news from the brewing world. We'll talk about some more happy stuff in a minute. I'm reading that Metropolitan Brewing in Chicago is filing for bankruptcy. You may remember that's where we met to sample Ken Kazmersky's hot dog beer when Steve and I went to Chicago. We sampled some really delicious German-style lagers there and interviewed the brewer and co-owner Doug Hurst for the show. It's a beautiful place, beautiful location. It was really crowded the evening that we were there. I'm hoping they can find some solutions for the troubles and come out the other side of bankruptcy in better shape. So good luck to them. It's a really fun place with delicious beers. The better news, well, here at the house, the next hop samplers in the fermenters. I took Steve's suggestion and did EKG, Fuggle, and a blend between the two. I'm really looking forward to tasting how that turns out. Chris Colby of beerandgardeningjournal.com has in hand bottles of the smoked rot beer. We were going to talk about that this week and record that interview, but I tried one this past weekend, and it still has a ways to go to bottle condition. It was still pretty flat, so we postponed. Even flat, though, the beer did taste good. I've already brewed the beer that Matt and I formulate on this show. It's in the basement, fermenting. I don't want to spoil too much of it before you hear the interview, but I think this is going to be a really fun one to try. We kind of stepped outside the bounds a little bit with the beer. I brewed that beer with ingredients I got from our friends and sponsors Desiree and Dave of HighGravityBrew.com. I've been talking a lot about the Build Your Own Beer feature of HighGravityBrew.com. It's where you can put your recipes together and separate them into bundles, so you can have different grain bills into their own bags when they reach your house. Very, very handy. But we can't forget the Warthog electric systems at HighGravityBrew.com that are designed to take the pain out of propane. You know, I'm so old, I still remember what it was like to brew with propane, so I don't take my Warthog brew-in-a-bag electric system with the EBC 130 controller for granted. And electric brewing, from what I hear, has become pretty much the default when new brewers buy their first setup. Desiree and Dave were at the front lines of electric innovation from the very beginning. Along with the Warthog controllers and turnkey systems, you can find Brewzilla systems at HighGravityBrew.com if you prefer more of the all-in-one designs. If you decided to go with a Warthog setup, use the code EBC75BB to save $75 on your Warthog purchase. Lots of great stuff to inspire you and bring you up to date on your gear at family-owned and operated HighGravityBrew.com. That's HighGravityBrew.com. Send Desiree and Dave some love for keeping support of this show through all these years. Okay, let's talk to Matt Giovanisci about a beer from Kentucky that was inspired by a trip to Canada. Matt Giovanisci, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thanks again for having me.
Happy wedding.
Happy wedding.
You got hitched.
I'm officially married. Yes, that's true.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And you haven't introduced us virtually to your now wife.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about, is it Steph?
Steph, yeah.
So
Yeah, we've been together for 9 years, and we bought a house together a few years ago. She's from Seattle. I'm from New Jersey, but we met in New Orleans at a conference back in 2014.
wow.
And then, then the two of us a year later moved to Colorado, and we've been here since. And then we bought a house in 2020. So that made us pretty much married, I felt.
Yeah.
And then so now we're official with the state. Now the state recognizes that we are married. We self-solemnize, which you mean in this state we could just do it ourselves.
Oh.
And we did it in front of our family and friends.
Wow.
With no officiant. Yep.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I was telling you that I don't know if I said this specifically, but I brewed all the beer for the wedding.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We had it at our home, and I'm like, I'm brewed out. I did 11 different beers, all within like 3 months. So yeah, I was like, whew, I don't even have my stuff set up. Like, everything's torn down because we had the wedding kind of like half in the brewery, half outside. So
What was it? What were the most popular beers at the ceremony?
So the most I made 2 New England IPAs. They went. I did a beer that was fresh hop or wet hopped. So I grew my own hops this year. Went outside, picked them, and stuck them in the beer. That one also went. And then our amber beer, the Basic Brewing Amber Ale, gone.
All right.
Yeah. and beer nerds were like, this is my favorite.
Oh.
They were like, I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, when's the last time you had like a really good amber ale?
Yeah, that was a good beer.
So yeah, that one disappeared.
Yeah.
So those were the 4 popular ones. 3 IPAs essentially, and then the amber,
which is on the hoppy side as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Colorado. Go figure.
A bunch of hopheads.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're here to and since you're beered out, we're going to formulate another beer for me to brew, which I don't mind doing, because I am donating what I've got in my kegs left over from the Arkansas Porch Steamer, which we're about to sample, and then the porter. I'm going to donate those for a wedding reception for Steve's son, Chase.
Nice.
Who they got married in New York recently. They're going to have an Arkansas reception.
Got it.
So
yeah.
I'm going to donate those beers. So I'll have, I'm sure, 2 empty kegs, by the beginning of next week. So, I'm ready to brew.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. So first of all, let's taste the previous recipe that we formulated. This is the Arkansas Porch Steamer, and I sent you a keg fill, and that is it's not as carbonated as I wanted it to be, but I wanted to send it to you before the wedding and before we left town or left the country on vacation. So I apologize. It's a little undercarbonated, but I'm drinking the same thing. I also am drinking a keg fill too. But while you're sampling, let's talk about the recipe. This is a 5-gallon or 19-liter batch. I added 9 pounds or 4 kilograms of two-row to the mash, along with 1 pound or 450 grams of 60 Lovibond Crystal, 8 ounces or 227 grams of Munich, that's light Munich, and 4 ounces or 113 grams of Victory, mashed for 90 minutes at 152 degrees Fahrenheit or 67 C. I was going to add chemicals, I swear, but I forgot.
Okay.
I was going to do it, and then I forgot. So at the 60-minute mark, in the 60-minute boil, I added half an ounce or 14 grams of Northern Brewer. 30 minutes into the boil, another half ounce of Northern Brewer. And then 15 minutes before the end of the boil, 1 ounce of Northern Brewer. Original gravity 1048, final gravity 1006, fermented with A44 Kviking.
Okay.
I think we specified Loki, but
I
I wasn't able to get it. So ABV of 5.5%, by the way. I pitched at 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 27 C, and I set it out on the porch, and it was a warm afternoon. But then that evening, it got down into the 60s Fahrenheit.
Oh, interesting.
And so the fermentation had started. By the time I went to bed, it was blooping along pretty good. The next morning, it was blooping along a little more slowly, but then it warmed up again, like up to 90 degrees, which is, 30 or something? I don't know. It's in real temperature.
Sure.
Sorry. Just been in Canada, and I still don't know how to do the things. So anyway, I think it didn't have the chance to get super fruity with the Kveikking, because it was like lower temperatures. But I think that's good. I think that for this style, and again, this is a salute to Anchor Steam beer.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know that I can't remember if there's anything else to talk about. But 161 calories for a 12-ounce beer. So cheers, virtual cheers.
Cheers, yeah, cheers.
And you have had Anchor Steam beer recently.
Recently, yeah.
So maybe you can remember to draw some comparisons between that one and the real one and this one. I don't know.
Yeah. My initial thoughts are it's incredibly clean. And I think that has a lot to do. I mean, when I say clean, I mean like there's no esters. There's nothing fruity about it. And I think the temperature drop overnight, I think helped that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's bitter, or I would say it's balanced for sure. But I was hoping for more carameliness. I think it's a little light on the caramel flavor. Not necessarily the color. It looks like a California Common. But yeah, I thought so Victory malt and Munich and regular malt, right? So a lot of just like
and 60 Levabon Crystal, which is not. So
that's it. That's the 60 Levabon is like the only caramel note. Okay. Yeah, because I mean Victory malt is just bready, right? There's nothing crazy about it. So yeah, I think and the Northern Brewer hops give it that bite, and there's almost, I would say, just from an aroma perspective, it's bread. Like I'm not getting fruity esters from the yeast. I'm not even getting like a spicy note or any sort of hop note from the Northern Brewer. And that's what makes it's very drinkable.
How does it compare? Do you have any tasting notes from the actual steam beer? Do you remember?
I would say it's no, honestly. I would say it feels lighter than that. I felt like the Anchor was maltier, like had a more like, and again, more of that like caramel malt, not necessarily, bready malt or pilsner malt. So yeah, this is a little bit lighter than that as far as like the like the dark sugar thing. It's there's like almost no sugar in it. It feels like it's, very, very dry.
Yeah, it finished at 10:06.
Yeah, okay.
So the Kveikking had its way with the the beer.
Yeah,
I think it's good. I don't know how accurate it is, but I think it's pretty tasty.
I mean, it feels accurate. It feels like it's the right color for sure. It's copper. Like I think we mentioned that it's not amber. It's a light copper color.
Yeah.
It is. There's no hop aroma present. There's no hop flavor present. It's bitter, but it's, I would say, like, and not bitter in like an IPA or even a pale ale sense, but like you can get the hops. And I think the reason the hops come through so much in this beer, to me at least, is because of the lack of body from the yeast being so active, and I maybe would have upped the caramel malt a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's not thin.
No,
and with the additional carbonation that it has on the keg right now, it is a fuller mouthfeel. But it's still not, super thick, obviously.
Right.
So, I think it's like I say, it's not thin. It's not weak in on the mouthfeel.
No.
To me. But yeah, it could maybe with this formulation, with this, if I were to brew this exact beer again, I might up the crystal malt or the caramel malt a little bit, just to give it just a teeny bit more body.
But here's the thing I would like to point out with this beer, which is so crazy to me, and what we didn't have, or at least I didn't have growing up. You didn't have it either. We didn't have Kvike yeast, right? We started Brew. Like the fact that you took this beer and stuck it on your porch with no regard for temperature whatsoever, right? And made an incredibly clean, commercial quality beer is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just so I'm so jealous. It's like, now I get to use it, but God, I had to spend all this money on this equipment, control the temperature. Could have just stuck it in a bucket out in the porch, So it's just like, it's incredible that this yeast can do that.
Yeah.
And going from 30 degree difference.
Yeah.
Like a 30-degree temperature swing is insane, but it happened at the right time, right? Because you pitched it at 80, you pitched it at a warmer temp, so it got it going, and then it slowly kind of dropped and let it do its thing without producing a ton of esters, and then it obviously you ramped it up.
Yeah.
At the end, it was it was the perfect timing of the yeast temperature, I think.
Yeah, I think if it was 80 degrees at night, 100 degrees in the day, I think it'd be a different beer.
Yeah,
and
it would definitely be fruitier.
Yeah, I think so. So in that way, I lucked out.
That's fun too.
Part of being a home brewer. Yeah,
Sometimes
something happens and you get a different beer from what you expected. But yeah, I think we lucked out on that. But it fermented quickly. I think let's see. I brewed it on August 31st and kegged it on September 3rd.
Wow.
So what's that, 4 days?
Yeah. You know what? And the more I look at it, the more I drink it, the more I think about it. It's probably pretty darn close to style, because I want caramel and I want that malty aroma, but I don't know if that's just me wanting an amber, and this is not that, because I see it, how often, how often are we really drinking commons?
Right.
So it's we're usually going to drink darker beers, amber beers, and then you go right over to the light beers. And you kind of skip that middle part a lot of, in modern beer drinking. So this kind of falls between a pale beer and a amber beer.
Yeah, I think this would be a good palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Between, say, a super hoppy beer and maybe a big rich dark beer or something like that, to reset your palate a little bit. Not saying that it's neutral or weak or anything like that.
No.
But it's just a nice kind of nothing super special. But
you're right, it's neutral.
Yeah,
and that is a good thing. If it's swung one direction or another, which is what I I want that, but it could have done it in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So it's middle of the road.
Yeah.
Adult contemporary.
Album rock.
Album rock. Yeah, yacht rock.
Well, good. It sounds like it was a success.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I'm relieved that I didn't send you a clunker. So,
no. and I mean, again, I'm not a historian, but it sounds like you brewed it traditionally because you let it ferment outside.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there you go. With no modern refrigeration equipment and whatever.
Correct.
So
there you go.
Just let the yeast do what they used to do.
Yep.
As I said at the beginning of the show, the Kentucky Common that Matt and I formulate on this show is already in the basement, in the fermenter, perking away. I'm fermenting it with L26 Pilgrimage from our friends and sponsors at Imperial Yeast. Now, I'm doing this in the manner not intended because this is a clean fermenting lager yeast, and I'm kind of using it as an ale yeast. I pitched around 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18°C, which is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit higher than the published parameters of Pilgrimage. So we'll see how it tastes in the end. But without a starter, in this situation, Pilgrimage got straight to work. And only 2 days after pitching, the fermentation's already slowing down. The krausen has already fallen back into the beer. The airlock is still working away, though. Now, if I were to be pitching at lager temperatures, I probably would have made a starter. However, my stir plate is still dusty because those 200 billion cells in that easy-to-open pack of Imperial L26 jumped up and got going at that warmer temperature. I'm really looking forward to tasting how this beer turns out. Ask your local homebrew store about L26 Pilgrimage and get some lagers going for fall. And check them out at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. Well, let's switch gears. We go from a common, California common, to a Kentucky common.
Yeah.
And this is how smart I am. I just now realized that. That
we're doing two commons in a row?
Yeah. Yeah. The Kentucky common. And I got this L26 Pilgrimage downstairs in the beer fridge that Eben from Imperial sent me. And I was like, "What? Let's do a lager." And I think you suggested a Dunkel, right?
Yeah.
And I was
I was thinking Halloween. I want a dark.
Well, that's true.
You know.
But we've done like a porter. Your amber was pretty dark. I was like, well,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to go that dark again.
Right.
But then I got to thinking, hey, wait a minute. When I was in Banff, I was at Three Bears Brewing up there, and they're on the beer menu it says rotating tap or whatever, or their featured beer, which is a new beer every so often, whatever. And so I said, what's the rotating beer? And he said Kentucky Common, and I hadn't heard the name. I hadn't heard that name in years.
Yeah.
It was a style that people played with back when I first got into home brewing and back when we first started this podcast and stuff. People would talk about Kentucky Common as sort of a resurrected style and something interesting and different for home brewers to make that they couldn't get anywhere else, which is what, part of the charm of home brewing is that you can make these styles and have something that you can't buy in the store. So I ordered the beer. I got all excited. I posted a picture of it on Instagram, and it was good. It was nice and it was super clean. It was a little bit caramely. I wanted it to be. It was perfectly good, and I enjoyed it. But I wanted it to be kind of more sort of rough and rustic, just a little bit more kind of raw and unrefined. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And do you mean, just to be clear, like slightly tart?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking
cloudy?
More. Yeah. It wouldn't bother me if it was cloudy. I wanted a little bit more of that caramel note. Okay. I wanted something just a little bit more character to tell me that I'm drinking something different.
I have an idea that we could try for this that would be really easy to do.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll save it.
Okay. Well, I did some searching around. I read the BJCP style guideline for the Kentucky Common, and I looked around at some recipes, and so I've got some ideas. Okay. But what did you find in your research?
So I found out that this beer was popular in the Kentucky region between the Civil War and Prohibition. And when it was resurrected, like in modern, craft times, a lot of people were making it sour, thinking that it was like a Kentucky bourbon, like a sour mash, and derived from that. And apparently that's inaccurate. It is more like a California Common or a Kolsch So, or even better, a cream ale, because it has corn in it traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's just because of in the Kentucky region, there's corn. You obviously have corn in bourbon, and so you're basically making a cream ale with a little bit of caramel sweetness.
Right.
And that's what I took from it, and I'm like, oh, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of a darker cream ale.
Yeah, darker cream ale. Yeah, and I think we could play with the Kentucky region a little bit in the Bourbon County region a little bit if we wanted to.
Okay.
And I have an idea of how we could do that.
All
and
right.
maybe that could – and also I read it's a quick beer. It's a quick turnaround beer, and that's – you're talking about 4 to 8 days, and those people were drinking it.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a Keller style where it's probably going to be a little cloudy and, it's it was a beer brewed for the masses essentially. So it's like, yeah, it's just it's a easy drinking beer, kind of like the California Common, and but yeah, I think because we're home brewers, we can push things a little.
Yeah, we're kind of using the style as an inspiration.
Yeah,
and usually when I make a cream ale, my recipe is 10 pounds of two-row or American Pale malt and 1 pound of flaked maize.
Mm-hmm.
The ratio in the Kentucky Common in the recipes that I have seen is higher on the corn.
Yeah, and I think we should play with that.
Okay. And some people use 6-row because of the enzymatic properties. And, I've read that it's said that they use the corn to kind of lighten up the protein or counteract for the protein content of the 6-row. I don't know that we necessarily have to use 6-row.
No, I don't think we do.
Because 2-row nowadays is just it's super powerful. It's powerful enough for the enzymes in there to take care of the corn. So I mean, if we wanted to get super fancy, we could use 6-row. I think the Brulosophy recipe that they have on their site, they did a short and shoddy version. I think they did I think it was them that did a blend of 6-row and 2-row. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we can get away with just American 2-row.
I agree.
Because there's nothing special. I don't think about that, especially since we're going to be adding stuff.
Right.
It's going to cover up any subtle differences in flavor and character, I think, between those two.
Yeah.
So should we start? Should we start? Have you got your app?
I got my app. I'm doing it. I think we should. You said you do 1 pound of flake maize. I think we'll just up that to 2.
Yeah.
And we'll base it off that. We'll do a standard pale 2-row, nothing crazy. And then I think the only other thing we need to add and not get crazy is just like the caramel malt or the crystal malt. So, at this point, 60 seems fine, right? You used 60 in the last one.
I think, some people also put in some black malt in there, some black patent in there as well to darken it down a little bit. And I think that we might need some help in that regard, to darken the color a bit. Mm-hmm. But maybe just like a couple ounces. And I'm thinking, 60 Lovibond Crystal to me doesn't give that enough caramely character. Like for instance, my Amarillo ale. Was always like 10 pounds of 2-row and then a pound of 60 Lovibond Crystal, and that's in just a pale ale, and it wasn't, it didn't taste caramely. Right. So I'm thinking we might need to at least go to 90 Lovibond Crystal, because and maybe even higher.
What can we work with?
Well, we can go to highdgravitybrew.com and see what they got. See what they got in stock.
Yeah, I'll throw in the 90 and see where that gets us.
Okay.
Even if we did those 3 malts as is, and let me just I'm going to up the So yeah, that gets us to not the SRM we want. It gets us to the alcohol we want because I have it at 8 pounds of 2-row, 2 of flaked maize, and then 1 pound of crystal or caramel 90. If we were to go ahead and add a darkener, we could do black malt, or we could do something like a debittered, a Carafa 3 type of thing, just to add the color and not add any sort of, roasted malt character. Or though maybe we want that. Maybe that'll add a little bit to that.
What if I'm looking at highdgravitybrew.com. They've got Simpson's Crystal 110 double roasted.
So, do you worry about the raisiny character at all?
Maybe.
or the date? Yeah, the date flavor that comes with that.
I mean, maybe back do that and then back it off to make like half a pound.
Yeah. Okay. So
and
do
then,
the one
and then compensate for color with black malt maybe.
All right. So you're saying Simpson's one. What is it?
Simpson's Crystal 110.
110.
Double roasted.
All right. Well,
is that not in the library on the app?
I don't. Wait, hold on. Maybe I got this wrong. Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
Crystal. Yeah, I have like extra dark light. They don't actually have it in. I have a
Oh.
113. I got. That's probably pretty close.
Yeah, that's very specific.
All right, so I'm gonna do 1 pound just to see what it does. All right, so 1 pound does get us into the correct SRM range, I should say. So if we left it as is, if we do the 110, we wouldn't have to add any more malt to get the color range we want.
Mm. But you're concerned that it would be a little too raisiny, a little too dark fruity.
That's my. Yeah, I mean, you're the one who's drank one recently, so I can't speak to. But I'm wondering if we want to keep it less raisiny. I don't know.
Well, why don't we compromise? Why don't we back off and just do like half a pound of that?
All right.
Because I think I would enjoy a little bit of dark fruit because I think that's what was kind of missing from the example.
All right.
That I had. I just wanted some more.
How about can we go to 120?
Ooh.
If we're thinking that.
Oh, well, we got Brees Crystal 120.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And do a half a pound of that.
Okay. All right.
And that does get us in the range.
Okay.
In the SRM range. We could add a little bit of darkener. I don't think we need it.
So how much?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I did 1 pound. My bad. That's my bad. All right, half a pound. All right, we still need a little bit of a darkener.
So try like 2 ounces of black malt. See what happens, or black pat.
All right.
I mean, I don't want another porter, but
sure. All right, black malt 2 rows. We're gonna do. You said how many? 2. I'm gonna
2 ounces.
I'm gonna do 3.
Okay,
for fun. All right, so that gets us exactly where we want.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So go over the list again.
All right, so we got 8 pounds of pale 2-row. We have 2 pounds of flaked maize, 8 ounces or half a pound of caramel 120 or crystal 120, and 3 ounces of black malt.
Okay.
At 500 of a bond, just if you're
right.
So yeah, it's the darkest of the malts.
None more dark.
None more dark.
None more black.
Right. And then so that's our grain bill. I think we're in line. So that gets us just and I think we should kind of stay in this range too. 4.3%.
Oh.
So it's a nice, common
sessionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if we move on to hops, this one I kind of feel like we can kind of do whatever we want.
Now, since we had we won American hops.
Yep.
And since we had such good luck with the Northern Brewer with the Arkansas Porch Steamer, what do you think about sticking with that?
Do you have any left?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
because we used whole amount. And we used 2 ounces total. So
Okay. So I don't think we need any in the in late edition. I think this can be a single edition.
right.
Now here's where it gets interesting. If we just did 1 ounce of Northern Brewer at 60 minutes, classic, that gets us 29 IBUs, which is kind of high for the style, but in range.
Well, the
high.
the Northern Brewer, the batch that I got was 7.5% alpha acid. How does that compare with your?
Yeah, mine was at 8. Let's see where that drops us down to. That drops us down to 25 IBUs, which is like kind of perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and maybe if you did a first wort hop, that doesn't really do much. Okay, 60 minutes, make it simple. Again, common. We gotta be quick. We gotta turn this beer around fast for the regular folks. And then obviously for yeast, you have Pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that will be in here. Oh, yes, it is. Great. Yeah. So that doesn't really change much. So, and then I can change fermentation schedule. So we talked about a little bit. It's cooling down a bit in your area.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to use a lager yeast, even though I didn't, when I was doing the research, I didn't see any specific yeasts mentioned. But the thing that I saw when I saw recipes, they were all using ale yeasts.
Yeah.
But very clean fermenting ale yeasts.
Yeah, a couple of them use California Common.
Yeah. Which is a lager, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much pretty much a hybrid kind of. It's a lager yeast used, at slightly warmer temperatures.
Right. So that's exactly what we're doing for this one.
And I'm not going to make a starter.
Yeah.
Because I think, a beer of this gravity, and we're not
Right.
fermenting at, 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
It's a little warmer. And this is fresh yeast. I don't think it'll have a problem.
No, I don't either. And then mash profile, just a basic 150 for an hour.
Right.
Fermenting at lower than normal ale temperatures, right? It'll be slightly cooler.
Yeah,
in your basement?
in the basement, it'll be a little cool,
Okay.
but not crazy cold.
All right. So I just have one random idea.
Oh, yeah.
All right. During fermentation, I think this is the way to do it, or towards the tail end of fermentation, adding in like barrel wood.
Oh, I have an oak spiral.
Then that's what we're gonna do.
I like it.
Because then that way you get the little bit of the Kentucky bourbon. Maybe if you soaked it in bourbon, you want to go that far with it.
Interesting.
Huh. Which would be because they did back in the day, fermented in barrels.
Right.
Wood barrels. So I'm just thinking of adding a little bit of the like bourbon character to it without, not driving up the alcohol or anything.
Yeah, without a ton.
Yeah, but the oak, and I think doing it at sort of the tail end, or even if I've done oak kind of just right from the beginning, and just seeing what the yeast pull out of it, and giving it that amount of time. So it's almost like, it's like fermenting in a oak barrel. I think that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
And that might give you that extra little oomph that, maybe you were missing from the commercial example.
Yeah. I like that idea a lot. And not maybe, maybe like, coating the spiral with some bourbon or something, or, I don't want a ton of bourbon character.
Right.
But it would be fun to have some oak. And
well, could you, how long, like when you say coat, like, would you soak it?
Not for very long.
Not for very long. Right.
Yeah. Just, get it wet.
get it wet, and then do you let it dry before you put it in, or do you put it right in?
No, I think I'd let it. I'd just stick it right in there.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe just pour some over the spiral, and because again you want a hint of the character. Of the oak and the bourbon, because we don't want this is not a novelty beer.
No, and the spiral that you have is just like American oak, just like it's just light, no toast.
No, I think it's got some toast on it. I mean,
Okay.
It's been a while since I looked at it, but
Yeah.
But I used it in I used it in a tincture.
Yeah,
I broke off a piece and used it in a vodka tincture. Well, it wouldn't get the bourbon character, but I think I still have some of that tincture.
Yeah. What I was thinking is you do the oak spiral, and when you go to taste it, if it's not enough, then you could like goose it a little bit with the tincture and see where that gets you. And it's like, okay, well, obviously you could have left the spiral in a little longer, or you could have added another, 2 spiral, whatever for the next, if we were to critique it and go, there's not enough oak character that we were hoping for, or there's just, you could kind of like goose it a little bit and then go, oh yeah, this is right. And then we could adjust the recipe.
Yeah. I like that.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fairly confident on this one.
Yeah.
I think it's, I like looking at the BJCP, and I like going out there and kind of surveying what recipes are out there, because this is not like any of the this is our own recipe. This is not like what anybody else has done. I don't think.
No, but it's also not I think it's not a recipe that it's really difficult to do. Obviously we're just talking about one hop, but I think the corn's the big like differentiator. And obviously we're doing a slightly more, well, not slightly, I think it's a more aggressive caramel edition, which, will aid in that bourbon character perhaps.
And who knows what it's been since Prohibition that true, commercial example has been produced. I mean, more people have done commercial examples since then, but there was a break in continuity, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So people are making it up as they go along.
So, yeah. And this is what, same thing. It's like, all right, well, we're in Kentucky. What's Kentucky known for? Mm-hmm. Baseball bats and bourbon.
And horses.
bunch of wood and some manure.
Just wave some horse biscuits over the
there you go.
Over the fermenter.
Just brew it near some
bluegrass.
Yeah, just let the wind blow it through.
Play some bluegrass music as it's
there you go. There you go.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as a piece of bonus content at the end of this episode, not bonus, I mean, I'm going to let it roll. But do you want to taste the porter that I sent you?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna walk away from the mic. I'm gonna put some in my glass from the keg. I'll be right back. I'm back with a beautiful beer.
Now, is that a keg fill?
Yes.
So what I have is also a keg fill.
Well, I got straight from the keg.
Right.
So, sorry, Chase. That's for your wedding reception. That's one fewer beer that you're gonna.
Oh boy. Now, you brewed this, obviously, right?
I did, and this is a recipe formulated by Chris Colby with a little help from me. And I actually did do chemical additions. You'd be proud of me.
Ooh.
I actually did do some chemical additions with this. It's a 5-gallon batch, 19 liters, 8 pounds or 3.6 kilograms of Maris Otter, 1 pound or 450 grams of 60 Lovabond caramel or crystal, 8 ounces, 227 grams of black malt, so quite a bit, 5 ounces or 142 grams of chocolate malt, and 3 ounces or 85 grams of roasted barley. 3 ounces of Czech Sots at 60 minutes. That's 85 grams. 1 ounce or 28 grams of Huel melon at flame out.
Okay.
1046 starting, final 1011, 4.6%, 809 pub.
Yeah, classic.
Now, the Huel melon Chris wanted a little bit of, Melanie character in there. Cheers, by the way.
Who's Melanie?
She's got a new pair of roller skates.
Oh.
But that's you won't get that reference, but somebody does out there.
That's a song.
Yes, it is. Sung by an artist named Melanie, I think.
Was it?
I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. There's something.
Yep. I got a brand new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So cheers again.
Cheers.
I think it's a tasty beer.
Yeah. Yeah. I was searching for the melon.
No,
in the aroma.
It's not. No, it's gone. I don't know where it went, but it's not. That melon-ish character.
Yes.
is not in there anywhere that I can detect.
No. I want it. I'm my brain's like, it's there. You can find it.
Nah.
No, you're right. Sorry, what was the bittering hop? Oh, sods, right?
Let's see. I think so. Yes. Just 3 ounces or 85 grams. Because it was only 2.2% alpha acid, I used 3 ounces for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So just a solid.
That is a solid porter.
I think just a solid roasty, but not too roasty. Chocolatey.
Right. Yep.
Easy drinking.
Like definitely dark chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was 60 Levabon crystal.
Yes.
And yeah.
So the theory was, 8 pounds of the Maris Otter as a base malt, 1 pound of the 60 Levabon crystal or caramel, and then the rest of it was another pound of the dark malts. So half a pound of the black malt, 5 ounces of the chocolate, and then 3 ounces of the roasted barley. You add all that together, it's another pound.
Yeah.
And then I added calcium chloride, Epsom salt, and gypsum.
Okay.
So I actually did add some chemicals to this.
Yeah. Salts.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. So I added 2.21 grams of the calcium chloride, 4.11 grams of Epsom salts, and then 2.21 grams of gypsum.
Okay.
And I was kind of afraid, because I'm a chemical newbie still, I was kind of afraid that it was going to be chemically tasting, but it's not.
No, that's a low dosage. But yeah, a lot of sulfate. Definitely more sulfates than because you said about 2 grams of calcium chloride, and then you had magnesium sulfate is Epsom salt, and then I think calcium sulfate is gypsum. So yeah, more sulfate. It's a higher sulfate ratio to chloride ratio.
And I just used the brewing software, what the brewing software recommended.
Mm-hmm. So, did you use a profile to match it off of?
Yeah, like a dark, either porter or dark, whatever it was. I don't remember now, but
yeah, because I certainly, well, I don't know. Maybe I am getting a little bit of I'm getting a little bit of fruitiness at the tail end, and maybe that has something to do and it is it's and I hate using this word because I don't know any other word. I think a lot of things are bitter, but I prefer bitterness. I like bitterness. And this one has not hop bitterness, but it's clearly the dark roast bitterness.
Yeah.
And obviously that higher sulfate ratio will bring that out a bit. But yeah, that's I'm having a hard time finding the chocolate. But I definitely get the milk chocolate. When we make that amber beer has almost the same amount of chocolate in it, and I feel like that you really get the chocolate. And this one I get it on the aroma, but not so much in the flavor. I get more of the the dark chocolate, the dark fruit chocolate, which is probably the roasted barley and black malt.
I think as it warms up, you might get more of those chocolate notes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a lot of coffee.
No. That's maybe what I'm thinking.
But it's just, again, a super drinkable beer. I mean, it's very quaffable. It's just really
definitely true to style.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just really,
and
just good.
Very good. Yeah, it's
and that's not patting myself on the back. Well, I guess it is a little bit because I brewed it, but
sure,
it's mostly Chris Colby's recipe. So there you go. I just wanted to say when I have extra beers from the series to send y'all, I like to send them so that you can kind of taste what's going on.
I appreciate that. It's good. Yeah, and I got 2 more.
That's right. You got and they've survived.
You know what? Because it's been sitting in my fridge since I got them, which was before the wedding, which was about 3 weeks ago now. They absolutely held up.
They both survived the shipping and the wedding crowd.
And the wedding, yeah. Well, I locked the fridge. Come on. Oh. I'm not a crazy person.
Trust but verify.
All my fancy bottles and James's homebrew locked in a glass fridge that you can see.
Just tempting people.
Yeah, the sad part is you can see it, so you're just it's.
Oh. Well, excellent. I'm going to I think as soon as I get off here, I'm going to order ingredients from highdgravitybrew.com. And maybe I'll have time, but I'm still digging out from being on vacation.
Yep.
I need another vacation.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'll be caught up maybe, but maybe I'll get to brew by the end of the week. I don't know, or by the weekend. I bet I'll be able to brew.
It's Monday, right?
What is today? It is Monday. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's just beginning.
We've only just begun.
Yeah.
Another 70s song reference.
Live.
Hey, all right, you got it.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Giovanisci of Brew Cabin and Swim University.
Yep.
So what's the main thing that people should be doing to their swimming pools and their hot tubs and everything on the change of seasons up here in the northern hemisphere?
Well, if you live in a cold temperature, close it. If you live in a warm temperature, you can reduce the amount of chemicals you use, and you can lower the pump speed if you have that kind of pump, and just let it coast.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
What about these people that in the springtime they have green pools? Is that normal? Is that advisable?
Oh, it's normal enough, yeah, depending on the type of cover you have and how well you closed it. But that's what we're here to help you with.
There you go.
We'll help you close it clear. We'll help you open it and clear it if you have to.
Well, there you go. All right, Matt Giovanisci, I appreciate it again. This has been a blast again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, thanks again to Matt, and again, congratulations on the wedding to him and Steph. I did take the porter to Chase's reception, and the good beer fans that I talked to who tried it said some good things. So I thought it was a really tasty beer. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com, or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com, and please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. It's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodds. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.